Hi, welcome to Find Your Flock. I'm your host, Dr. Sandra Clavijo from the Schaefer School of Engineering and Science at Stevens. If you're unsure about which engineering major to choose, you're in the right place. Each episode, I chat with students and recent grads about their favorite classes, internships, professors, and more, helping you discover the path that fits you. Hi, today's guest is from our Chemical Engineering and Material Science Department, Izzie Furrick. Welcome to Find Your Flock.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. We'd love to hear a little bit about yourself and what you've studied at Stevens, both your undergraduate and your AMP graduate program.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Izzie. Originally, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then I came out here to Stevens to get my bachelor's degree in chemical engineering with a minor in environmental engineering. And now I'm part of Stevens AMP program. AMP stands for Accelerated Master's Program, where this May I'll get my master's degree in material science with a focus in sustainability.
Excellent. Did you always know you wanted to study chemical engineering?
No, actually. So when I was growing up, especially in like elementary and middle and even early high school, I thought I wanted to be a writer. I really like communicating like my story through the written word, but I don't really have a passion for writing like novels or short stories. And so I thought maybe like I'd go into journalism. I wasn't too sure. And then when I took my first chemistry class, my sophomore year of high school, that's when I found my passion. I really love chemistry. I want to know as much as possible about it. And then when I was in high school, not only did I really like chemistry, I was pretty good at it too. And the other subject I was really good at was math, anything from like algebra to geometry to calculus. And when you're in high school and you have like an affinity for STEM, a lot of people like teachers, counselors, parents, they'll tell you to look at a career in engineering. So that's exactly what I did. And really the cherry on top for me was whenever I was researching like chemical engineering and what you could do with it, I saw that a lot of the careers in chemical engineering we're in like sustainability and trying to make the world like a better place environmentally. And I've always really had a passion for the environment and like for clean energy and things like that. Actually, like when I was in high school, I watched like this documentary called Cowspiracy on how factory farming is really bad for the environment. And from that day on, like I was a vegetarian, which makes my dad really unhappy. But that's just like all to say that I'm really passionate about the environment. And that was just really the cherry on top for me with engineering and chemical engineering.
That's amazing. I feel like some people don't know all the different industries that chemical engineering can really span, and I'm glad that we're talking a little bit about the environmental side of
Yeah.
chemical engineering today. What was your favorite class you had at Stevens?
Oh yeah, this is a great question. So, in terms of chemical engineering, I have like two answers. First is thermodynamics. Thermodynamics, like it's a little more math heavy. You learn about how energy is transferred from something like heat to work to chemical energy. I've taken it now both at the undergraduate and the graduate level, and I've loved it both times. And then for more of like a fun answer, Stevens has what's called the design spine. So no matter what type of engineering you're majoring in, whether it's chemical or like software engineering, what have you, you'll go through this design spine where each semester for the first few years of your degree, you'll take a different engineering class that's more geared towards one type of engineering. It might have changed since I've gone through it, but I know like one of the design spine classes was focused on like mechanical engineering, another on electrical. And the design spine class that's focused on chemical engineering is really, really cool. It's one of my favorites I've ever taken at Stevens. Each week you go in and you do a different lab that teaches you something new about material science, which was really cool for me. One of my favorite labs we did to learn about polymer processing. We made our very own water bottles. We started from like the little plastic pellets and got to manufacture our own like plastic water bottle. It was so cool. And I learned so much from that class. I liked it so much I went on to TA for it for 3 years. So that's one of the best classes I've ever taken at Stevens.
Awesome. So sometimes our favorite classes are the hardest classes, but what was the hardest class you think you took at Stevens, and what was your strategies to get through it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you talk to any chemical engineering major at Stevens, they're all gonna have the same answer to this question. There's a class you take in your sixth semester, your junior year, called Heat and Mass Transfer, and I'll go as far to say as like it's the hardest class at Stevens, like regardless of major. I thought that I would like it because I really like thermodynamics, and I thought, oh, heat mass transfer, it's going to be about energy and how it moves through materials. It's like genuinely one of the hardest classes I've ever taken in my life. I think like the way to get through a tough class like that is really just to go back to like the basics of being a good student. Some tips I have, like never skip class. And like no matter how tempting it is, I know especially when the weather gets nice, you want to go walk around the pier with your friends instead of sitting in lecture, but showing up and going to class will go a long way. Some other tips I have are like don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Something that really helped me a lot when I was taking heat and mass transfer was just, forming study groups with my other classmates. Maybe I really understood one topic, but not another. I could lean on my classmates and we could all kind of gather our collective knowledge and work on problem sets together. And yeah, I think, also something as engineers that we don't tend to do in classes is like read the textbook. I know like no chemical engineering major actually wants to crack open a book, but something I found really helpful in this particular case was filling in my knowledge gaps with things like reading the textbook or watching YouTube videos. So I think like it all just goes back to putting your head down, putting the work in. When I was taking this class, I felt like, oh, this professor's out to get me. Like, oh, this class is so hard, I'll never succeed. But the professors, they're not out to get you. Like, if you really put in an effort and show up, like you'll be fine. It's hard. So I won't lie.
Awesome. I feel like it's better to know what's ahead for you, rather than
Yeah.
be bombarded by the sixth semester. Um, so I know it can't all be just work. So what are some of the fun clubs or extracurriculars that you were involved with at Stevens, and how did they shape your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the best decisions I made when I got to Stevens was joining a Panhellenic sorority. I was in Phi Sigma Sigma, and it just really like helped make my college career. So something you'll hear about Stevens, like you might have heard the number thrown around 70-30. There's like this ratio of men to women at Stevens. There's a lot more men. It's an engineering school. Engineering's male dominated. And my first semester I really struggled to like find other women and have those female friendships. And so my second semester I joined Phi Sig, and I was really able to form some like strong bonds with women in engineering. Also like the Phi Sig events were just such a fun break from my classes. I would craft with the other girls. We would dance. We would do like volunteering work as well. And it just really like made my college career. Another like extracurricular I was a part of at Stevens, I was a peer leader. And that was also a really great experience. So the peer leaders, they help with like college orientation. So you get to meet like the incoming first year students. And something I really liked about the peer leader program is people come from all walks of campus to be peer leaders. So I met a bunch of people I never would have come in contact with, and made some friends in cool places. So yeah.
Those are awesome. Love our peer leaders. Working
Yeah,
on a new
absolutely.
crop for our new students that are coming. So I know you had a couple internships, also some research experiences.
Yeah.
So love to hear a little bit about BP, British Petroleum, and maybe Avon Cosmetics. Those are
Yeah.
two more industries in chemical engineering, and might help people make their mind up about their major.
Yeah, absolutely. So, something great about Stevens is they offer a co-op program for engineering majors, which I participated in. So if you don't know what that is, a co-op program is a degree program that takes 5 years instead of four, because a few semesters you'll be working engineering internships instead of taking classes. And this was something I was looking for when I was applying to colleges. I knew I wanted to go to a college where a co-op program would be offered. So my internships at BP and Avon, I got both of those through the co-op program at Stevens. And I think it's just a great way to help like make industry connections early in your career and like bolster your resume before you're even out of school. So definitely would recommend the co-op program. My first internship was at BP. It was an awesome, awesome experience. My favorite thing about working there was just like how valued I felt like as an employee. Obviously, like the work we were doing was really important, but they just really wanted to make sure like work was being done safely. And I felt like the company cared about me as a person first and like an employee second, which was great. When I was at BP, I was in the research and development department. So the project I was working on was we were looking at a new additive for engine oil. So what goes into your engine to help things run smoothly. And the new additive was just going to help things run better, make your energy more, or make your engine more efficient. And so a lot of what I was doing was testing samples, which was actually really fun. I would go into the lab and they would give me like a little recipe card of like, oh, you add this much of this chemical, this much of this chemical, and I would mix it all up. And then I would get to run a bunch of fun tests on my samples, report back to my boss, maybe in the form of like an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. And it was just overall a really, really great learning experience at BP.
Perfect. And then I saw that you were at Sandia all the way in New Mexico, and you've done research back at Stevens in the Henze Catalyst Lab. So I know you keep busy. So tell us a little bit about the research experiences, and what those were like, and compared to industry, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the co-op program was like a great way for me to like dip my toes into industry. But after I completed like my second internship at BP, I went back because I loved it so much. I was thinking about like a career in research and what that would look like as I was in the research department at BP. And I really wanted to know what the difference was between industrial research and academic research. And so I reached out to my thermodynamics professor, Alyssa Hensley, and asked if she had a spot open in her lab. And that was like a life-changing decision. She fortunately did have a spot. She works in computational chemistry, so it combines aspects of like coding, AI, machine learning with chemistry, which was like a completely new field for me. And I got to work on my very own like independent research project. She put a lot of trust in me as an undergrad, and I absolutely loved it. I would say like the biggest difference between industrial research and academic research, at least in my experience, is that when you're in like an academic, like a university setting, you have a lot more freedom about like what you get to spend your time working on. You can really, really delve into the fundamentals of projects and spend a lot of time trying to figure out like why a certain thing is happening. In industry, things are moving at a little faster of a pace. It's a little more like profit oriented. So if you're working on a problem and you really want to get to the root cause of it, but it's, not making money or like not as profitable and the company needs to move on, you kind of have to stop what you're doing. So some people really like that. I prefer academic research. And so yeah, this project was really like this research project at Stevens was really like a launching point for my career into academia. Through my research at the Hensley Catalysis Lab, I was exposed to the national labs, which is where I've been working for the past 2 summers. The national labs are kind of an in-between of industry and academic research, which is really nice. At the national labs, you have a little bit more freedom on like the kinds of projects you get to work on, but you still like have the 9 to 5 hours that somebody in industry would have. And I've learned a lot from the experts at Sandia National Lab, particularly about how to incorporate like machine learning into the projects that I've been working on. I know that's like a really hot topic, big field right now. So I'm really glad that I've got some experience in like machine learning. And also I would have never gone to Albuquerque if I wouldn't have started doing research at Stevens, and it's the best ever. Through my like internships at Sandia, I've gotten to like explore the Southwest, which has been great. I went to the Grand Canyon, super fun. And yeah, that's a little bit about like my time at Sandia.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So cutting edge. I know AI and machine learning is the hot topic everywhere. Thinking about all of those experiences, I know you have something big lined up after graduation. Would you like to tell us about like your plans post-graduation here and kind of what helped you make that decision moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, like after comparing my experiences in industry and academia, I decided like I would like to pursue a career in research, and specifically like in academia. And to do that, you need to get a PhD. So, starting this fall, I will be pursuing my PhD in chemical engineering at Princeton University. So I'm really, really excited about this next chapter. A lot of like things went into this decision. The PhD is like a big commitment, obviously, in terms of like time, and and effort. I think something a lot of people don't know about getting a PhD, especially like in engineering, is that the PhD is actually like it's paid for and you get a stipend. So this is kind of like a next step in my career. I always had this misconception that like if you were to go get a PhD, it would be like medical or law school where you go into a lot of debt. But that's not the case for engineering. And so I think like this would have been a career path I would have considered earlier if I would have known that. So I think that's something that I'd like to share. And yeah, I hope to, in my PhD, continue doing computational work. I really like modeling. I really like coding. And I also really like that you get to incorporate your like chemistry and science knowledge into your models. And yeah, overall, like I want my projects to be about sustainability, clean energy and making the world a better place.
That's amazing. Princeton's lucky to have you.
Thank
And
you.
love to see more women doing their PhDs. And thank you for sharing all of
Yeah.
that. So we'd love to end our podcast with giving us your best pitch of why someone should choose chemical engineering.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best thing about majoring in chemical engineering is the diversity of the careers that you can get into by choosing this major. I've worked with people who have done some like crazy cool projects all because they chose chemical engineering. At BP, I worked with the guy who made the Oreo cookie vegan. He's a chemical engineer. So cool, right? Whenever I was at Avon Cosmetics, I met a perfume scientist. Her background's in chemical engineering, and now her whole job is to come up with the chemistry that makes your perfume smell a different way. I know people who have gone into the pharmaceutical engineer or industry and are now working for companies like Pfizer and Johnson and Johnson. You can even like incorporate coding into chemical engineering, which is what I'm doing. And I think like the diversity of chemical engineering is what makes it really stand out. A chemical engineer can go into pretty much any industry and find a role. As a chemical engineer, you can work as a mechanical engineer, as an electrical engineer, as a software engineer. And I don't know if like the reverse can be said. So obviously, I think everyone should major in chemical engineering. It's awesome. And it could just completely change your life and open so many doors for you.
That's amazing. I want to do it all over and be a chemical
Yeah,
engineer.
absolutely.
You've convinced me. So thank you so much. I want to thank Izzy for sharing her journey and wisdom with us on Find Your Flock. If you're feeling inspired, confused, or just curious, you're not alone. That's why we're all here. Make sure to follow the show and share it with someone else. Have a good day.